Alright, so when you're changing out your bed knives at the end of the season, or you just need to change the bed knife in general, a couple of things. This one here, I already got the bed knife off, and I will show you how I did that. But what you're going to do when you go to put your new bed knife on, alright, is you're going to have to get these sharpened, and they come wrapped. But when you take the other one off, before you go and throw this one up there, good rule of thumb is you can see real closely. I mean, these things get a lot of rust under here from rinsing them off after each service. You're going to get chemicals and debris and stuff in here, and eventually these threads are going to get all, galled up with a bunch of crap. So a good rule of thumb, what I do is, this is real rough. You don't want to throw that new blade back on here because these are going on your greens. And when it comes to your greens, it's all about precision. And you don't want any unbalance in your blade here, anything unlevel. So I'll normally just take a wire brush, just kind of smooth this out. Get all this old rust off. Alright. Definitely want to get this clean and nice and smooth before you put your new bed knife on there. Another reason you want to do that, once you go and put that new bed knife back on here, and you don't do this, or let's say when you're cleaning this and you only clean one side really good and not the other side, I mean, remember, these blades are all about precision. And even just being a little bit off, a little bit of rust on this side will allow that blade to sit unevenly. And you're going to be fighting with that machine all season, figuring out, why the heck is this thing not cutting right? I'm adjusting it right. My settings look accurate on the gauge. But your bed knife is not seated properly. So you want to start from the ground up, which is your bar. So take that bed knife off and just clean it real nice. Get it nice and smooth here so that you know that you have a level surface that you're putting your new blade on. It's gonna be sitting for a while before this machine sees any service. So I'll just take some WD-40 just to prevent any other buildup that might want to come about as it's sitting. And I'll get this lubed up nice. It's good for all your threads in here too. Keep it lubed up over the winter. Put a nice coat of oil on there and prevent any rust that might want to come back, depending on where you're storing it too. So this way, you're putting a nice, clean blade on top of a nice, smooth surface. And then, that'll be ready to put on the grinder to sharpen it. Alright, just put a nice coat of oil on there, like that. Now, when you're removing these bed knife screws, you're not going to be able to do it with a screwdriver. Alright, and trust me, I've tried when I couldn't find my proper socket for this. I've tried all kinds of ways, screwdrivers, everything. It's just not gonna come out. I've even had a metal strike that I would put in here, and that I will show you a tip also, to put a metal strike in there if these things get all galled up and you can't get it out of there, just enough to strike it to get that thing loose. But the tool that you need for this, you can get from R&R. I have one on my gun already here. And there's two different sizes. This one's got a little bit of a wider tip on there. Alright, but there are going to be a couple of other machines that have, let me see if I can find it here. There we go. So you can see the size difference on these two here. So what you want to do is look up on R&R bed knife screw removal socket, and you want to pick these up. And basically what that's going to do is, you can see, well, hopefully you can see, I'm trying to get this camera in there, but that is engineered to fit in that groove just perfect. See that? And when you're taking these off, it's going to be hard to show you with one hand, so I'm just going to kind of talk about it right now. But you got to have even pressure on that gun. Alright? And you definitely want to use an impact gun. Alright, but make sure that that is level on there, because even if it's up a hair, you're going to score up one side of this screw, and it's going to be difficult, even with the impact gun, to get that off, and that's where you're going to have to get your striker in there to kind of free it up. So make sure that that's nice and flat when you're putting pressure down on the gun, and don't give it full torque, just little squirts and kind of nudge that thing till it comes loose. So I'm going to try to set this phone up and show you what I mean by that. Alright, it's hard to get the phone over my shoulder here by myself, but again, put this nice and flat on there. Don't go full speed like that. The gun's just going to hop out. You got to get it nice and flat on there, hold a little bit of pressure, and just little squirts of air there. Just like that. That'll pull that screw right out. It's not going to work if you put a regular flathead on here, I assure you. You're not going to get these bolts out. So get this attachment. I think it's like $38 from R&R, and I'll try to show you in the catalog. But nice and flat, little pumps, just like that. Those screws will come right out. There it is right there. Bed knife screwdriver tool, 2845, R&R number R101278T. That was the thinner one. This one here is the thicker one, which you want to have both of them. So this R&R number is R510880, and this is for the walking greens. But if you're not sure which one you need, just get them both. Doesn't hurt to have them in your toolbox. So let's suppose you have one of these bed knife screws now that is all tore up, and you can't get it off with the gun and the attachment. So what you really need to do is you get yourself a striker sort of like this, something that has a little bit of an angle on it here. And what you want to do is put this just on one side of the bolt like that, and make sure that it's kind of sitting down there in the groove. And then you're going to want to tap this in with a hammer just to kind of break that free. Alright, if it's real bad, I would suggest spray it with some WD first, or some type of nutcracker chemical. Let it sit, and just kind of put your pointer there, your striker there. It's hard to see with this light. Come on, focus. Get it right down in the edge there, and hit that with the hammer. And if this side is no good, then go to this side. If you're not getting much grip on that side, put it down in there like that. Strike it with the hammer, just enough to get that to nudge loose. Then you can go back to your gun and take it off. The only other option after that is to get a little propane torch and heat the base of this here where the screw is going in. You don't want to heat the screw itself. A lot of people think you got to heat the actual bolt that you're trying to loosen. You need to heat the actual surface that the bolt is going into to expand this to make this looser. Alright, so again, don't put your heat on the actual screw. Put your heat on the base here that the screw is going into. Get that nice and hot, let that expand, and then try your gun again, or put your striker on there while it's hot. Of course, wear gloves, don't burn your hand, and then bang that. You should be able to get that right out of there. Now, this is the old bed knife, but I'll show you. When you're putting these back on, you want to make sure you don't start from here and work your way down. You need to get this blade nice and level on here. So what I normally do is I'll set a screw right there in the center, and I'll drive that one in. And then I'll go to this end and I'll drive this one, not all the way in, but just a little bit of pressure. And I'll take this one, put it in the end, drive it all the way in, but not fully seat it yet. Leave it a little bit loose. All right. Then what I'll do is I'll do every other one. I'll put a screw in there in every other one, and I'll start from the center. Okay. I'll drive this one down, then I'll put that one in. Then I'll go to this hole, put that one in. Then I'll go down to this hole, put that one in. So you want to go back and forth when you're putting these screws in so that you get this blade to seat nice and even on there. But that's pretty much it. I hope this helps. I will see you next time on what to do.